In the bustling corridors of Beirut International Airport, where the hum of travelers mingled with the roar of departing planes, Officer Nasa and his loyal partner Jim began their routine patrol. Jim, a German shepherd with an extraordinary nose, usually performed his duties with calm precision, moving through the chaos with a sense of purpose. But this day was different. It began like any other, yet it would soon transform into a story that neither Officer Nasa nor Jim could have foreseen. Surrounded by the cacophony of travel, their attention was drawn to an unremarkable suitcase among a sea of luggage. It had arrived from Ukraine and was destined for Beirut. There was nothing extraordinary about its appearance, just a simple, nondescript suitcase blending in with the rest. But Jim's finely tuned instincts told him otherwise. As they neared the suitcase, Jim's ears perked up, his body language changing abruptly. He hesitated for a brief moment, then darted toward the bag with unusual urgency. His behavior puzzled Officer Nasa. Jim was a disciplined dog, trained to bark vigorously when he detected something alarming. But today, instead of barking, he emitted a low, mournful whimper, crouching beside the suitcase with a sense of distress. Years of experience had sharpened Officer Nasa's instincts. He knew this behavior was significant, hinting at something unusual. The suitcase, seemingly ordinary, had captured Jim's undivided attention. Upon closer inspection, Nasa noticed nearly invisible holes in the case's surface. As Jim sniffed around these openings, he recoiled each time, as though repelled by an odor undetectable to the human nose. Officer Nasa decided it was time to escalate the situation. Concerned about the possibility of danger, he called in the bomb disposal team. Clad in heavy protective gear, the team moved quickly and carefully, transporting the suspicious package to a secure, isolated room away from passengers and staff. Tension filled the air as the officers exchanged uncertain glances, their imaginations running wild with possibilities. Jim, however, remained unusually animated. His tail wagged, his body language reflecting urgency. The officers outside could only speculate as they awaited the bomb squad's assessment. After a tense period of examination, a collective sigh of relief echoed through the room. The package was declared free of explosives, but the mystery was far from solved. What had triggered such a reaction from Jim? Following the trail of tiny holes, Officer Nasa detected a faint odor emanating from the suitcase. Jim had been right to be alarmed. There was something unusual inside. With a sense of apprehension, the officers made a collective decision to open the case, preparing themselves for the unexpected. As the lid creaked open, the contents left everyone speechless. Inside the sawdust-lined crate were 3 Siberian tiger cubs, huddled together and blinking against the sudden intrusion of light. Their striped fur was matted, their tiny bodies visibly dehydrated from what must have been a grueling journey. The officers stood frozen, momentarily stunned by the sight before them. Officer Nasa knelt beside the crate, carefully reaching in to lift the cubs out. As he held them, the grim reality of their situation became painfully clear. The cubs had been transported in deplorable conditions, their health compromised by neglect. It was a heartbreaking sight that revealed a darker side of human activity, one that placed profit over compassion. The tiger cubs' journey had begun in a Ukrainian zoo, where they were bred for trade. They were destined for Damascus, but instead, they ended up abandoned in a suitcase with no regard for their well-being. Dehydrated and scared, the cubs bore the marks of their ordeal. But amidst the tragedy, a sense of resolve began to form among the officers. They had an opportunity to make a difference. Blankets and water were brought in to provide immediate relief. The airport staff worked together to create a makeshift safe space for the cubs while waiting for animal control to arrive. Soon, experts arrived to take the cubs to a rehabilitation center, where they could receive proper care and attention. It was the first step toward healing for these 3 small lives. Named Maya, Tanya, and Anton, the tiger cubs became symbols of resilience. Though their early days were marked by hardship, they were given a second chance at life. Veterinarians and caretakers dedicated themselves to their recovery, addressing both physical wounds and emotional trauma. Slowly but surely, the cubs began to adapt to their new environment. They learned to trust, to explore, and to play a far cry from the dark confines of the suitcase. This extraordinary discovery sparked a global conversation about the cruel realities of animal trafficking. It shed light on an industry that thrives on exploitation, often targeting endangered species and subjecting them to unimaginable suffering. Animal trafficking not only endangers individual animals but also poses a significant threat to biodiversity and ecosystems. Species like Siberian tigers, already endangered, are often victims of illegal trade. Removing them from their natural habitats disrupts ecosystems, affecting the delicate balance that supports countless other species. For the animals themselves, the conditions of trafficking are horrific: cramped, unsanitary spaces with no access to proper food, water, or care. Many die before reaching their intended destinations. The health risks extend beyond the animals. Wildlife trafficking can facilitate the spread of zoonotic diseases, posing a significant threat to human populations. The illegal trade of wild animals often bypasses health regulations, increasing the likelihood of disease transmission, a sobering reality brought into focus by the global pandemic. The plight of these tiger cubs was a stark reminder of the far-reaching consequences of animal trafficking. Beyond the immediate physical suffering they endured, these animals also faced the loss of their natural place in the world. Species like the Siberian tiger are vital to the ecosystems they inhabit, playing a crucial role in maintaining the health of their environments. By removing them from their natural habitats, traffickers not only harm individual animals but also upset the balance of entire ecosystems. Furthermore, the cultural and ecological importance of these species cannot be overstated. Many animals targeted by traffickers hold deep significance in indigenous cultures, representing symbols of strength, spirituality, and resilience. The loss of such species is not only an environmental tragedy but a cultural one as well, eroding traditions and practices that have existed for generations. The story of Maya, Tanya, and Anton is a powerful testament to the resilience of animals and the transformative power of compassion. Despite the unimaginable hardships they faced, these cubs were given a second chance at life. Their journey from suffering to safety became a symbol of hope, inspiring people around the world to take action against the illegal wildlife trade and raise awareness about the importance of protecting endangered species. For Officer Nasa and Jim, the discovery of the tiger cubs was a turning point. It was a reminder of the importance of vigilance, of trusting instincts, and of standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. Jim's extraordinary reaction to the suitcase, a reaction that initially seemed so out of place, ultimately led to the rescue of 3 innocent lives. Without his keen sense of smell and unwavering dedication to his duties, these tiger cubs might never have been saved. As the cubs began their recovery, their story spread across the globe, sparking conversations about the urgent need to end animal trafficking and protect vulnerable species. Governments, organizations, and individuals alike rallied together to support efforts to combat this global crisis. The story of the cubs served as a catalyst for change, encouraging stronger laws, better enforcement, and increased education about the dangers of trafficking. Maya, Tanya, and Anton were now safe, living in a sanctuary where they could heal physically and emotionally. Their days of suffering were behind them, and they began to thrive under the care of dedicated professionals who worked tirelessly to provide them with a better life. Slowly, they regained their strength, and their personalities began to shine through. Maya, the more reserved of the 3, would often observe her surroundings with a quiet curiosity. Tanya, more playful, would chase after anything that caught her eye, while Anton, the boldest, was always the first to explore new areas of their enclosure. Together they became a family, a symbol of survival and strength in the face of adversity. The journey of these 3 cubs was just one example of the many stories that remain hidden behind the walls of illegal wildlife trade. But with each story shared, awareness grew, and with that awareness came the possibility of change. The work of law enforcement officers, veterinarians, and animal welfare organizations became even more crucial as the world woke up to the devastating consequences of animal trafficking. As the cubs grew, so did their significance. They became ambassadors for their species, representing the countless others who suffer in silence, hidden away in the dark corners of the world. Their story reminded people everywhere of the importance of protecting wildlife, of standing up for those who have no voice, and of taking action to preserve the natural world for future generations. The world had witnessed a miracle that day at Beirut International Airport, a miracle that was made possible by the quick thinking of Officer Nasa, the bravery of Jim, and the compassion of all those involved in the cubs' rescue. The story of Maya, Tanya, and Anton would not be forgotten. It would serve as a beacon of hope, a reminder that no matter how dark the world may seem, there is always a chance for redemption, healing, and a better future. As their story spread far and wide, it touched the hearts of millions. People shared their stories, sent messages of support, and worked together to create a world where animal trafficking was no longer tolerated. With each step forward, the message was clear: the fight to protect wildlife was not over, and every small victory, every saved life was worth celebrating. The tiger cubs may have started their journey in darkness, but they ended it in the light, surrounded by people who cared and animals who understood their struggle. They had survived, and now they thrived, a living testament to the power of hope, compassion, and the unwavering commitment to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Thanks to Jim, Officer NASA, and the countless others who worked tirelessly to save the cubs, the world became a little brighter that day. The tiger cubs story, once a tale of suffering, became one of redemption. Their journey had only just begun, and with it, they would continue to inspire change, raise awareness, and remind the world of the power of compassion in the face of adversity.